I am chosen for a purpose, starting the day with divine identity. Every morning you wake up, there's a choice. You can either rise like everyone else, chasing, worrying, reacting, or you can rise in alignment with who you are and why you're here. The difference between ordinary people and extraordinary purpose-driven people is that one wakes up in survival mode and the other wakes up in spiritual awareness. When you begin your day by declaring, I am chosen for a purpose, you're not speaking arrogance, you're speaking alignment. You're reminding your spirit that you were not placed here randomly. You were sent here intentionally. Most people begin their mornings reacting to life instead of commanding it. They pick up their phones before they pick up their peace. They scroll through comparison before they stand in conviction. And because of that, their day starts under pressure instead of on purpose. But when you open your eyes and say to yourself, I am chosen for a purpose, something begins to shift. You stop chasing validation and start walking in vision. You stop asking, why me, and start declaring, why not me? Because deep down, you understand that everything you've survived wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were chosen before you were even conscious. There are things about you that don't make sense to people because they weren't meant to understand your assignment. The divine doesn't call the qualified, it qualifies the called. And when you begin your day with that awareness, you start operating with quiet confidence. You stop negotiating your worth and start nurturing your work. You stop apologizing for your calling and start amplifying your contribution. You stop measuring your pace against others and start mastering your race. Every day brings with it a new battlefield, not in the world, but in the mind. The moment you wake up, doubt tries to whisper that you're not enough. Fear tries to convince you that your dream is too big. Comparison tries to distract you with what others are doing. That's why you must start your day with a declaration stronger than the noise. I am chosen for a purpose. That's not just a sentence, that's a strategy. It reprograms your focus before fear can form. It tells every anxious thought that it has no authority over your destiny. It reminds you that your presence today is proof that your purpose still stands. When you begin your morning with divine identity, you unlock divine energy. You don't move like someone hoping to find meaning, you move like someone carrying meaning. You understand that even small actions have eternal weight. You begin to see that your job is not just a paycheck, it's a platform. Your family is not a burden, it's your ministry. Your obstacles are not enemies, they're training grounds for growth. You stop running from challenges and start seeing them as invitations to evolve. Because you realize purpose doesn't remove problems, it gives you power to overcome them. People who lack purpose chase pleasure. People who live with purpose embrace process. And when you remind yourself daily that you are chosen, you begin to handle both success and struggle differently. You stop begging for opportunity and start preparing for it. You stop wishing for blessings and start working like someone already blessed. You stop trying to prove your worth and start expressing your worth through your work. Every action becomes intentional because every morning began with identity. Think about it. When you know who you are, your decisions change. You don't waste time proving things to people who don't believe in you. You don't shrink your light to make others comfortable in their darkness. You don't tolerate what disrespects your purpose. You stop entertaining drama, gossip, or distraction because you're too busy building what you were born to build. Identity gives clarity, and clarity produces consistency. You can't be consistent with what you don't believe in, and you can't believe in what you haven't declared. That's why the first words that leave your mouth every morning are critical. They set the tone for your direction. So when you wake up, don't just get out of bed. Get into alignment. Before you pick up your phone, pick up your purpose. Before you scroll through the world, speak to your world. Say to yourself, I am chosen for a purpose. I am not a mistake. I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am exactly where I need to be to grow into who I'm meant to become. When you carry that mindset, you begin to walk through your day with peace, even when pressure surrounds you. Because you understand that your calling is bigger than your current circumstances. Purpose doesn't eliminate problems, it gives them meaning. When you know you're chosen, you see rejection as redirection, you see delay as development, you see loss as preparation for greater gain. You begin to thank God for what didn't work out, because now you can see that it was part of what's working out. This shift in perspective doesn't just change your morning, it changes your entire momentum. There's power in waking up with identity. You stop asking the world for permission to be great. You stop waiting for someone to validate your vision. You stop letting fear decide your effort. Instead, you step out every day knowing you carry divine potential that needs daily activation. And that activation begins with your words. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and every morning you get to decide which one you'll speak over yourself. So as the sun rises, rise with it. Speak life into your purpose. Speak strength into your spirit. Speak clarity into your path. Don't wait for motivation. Create it. Don't wait for opportunities. Attract them through focus and faith. Remember, you're not waking up to chase blessings. You're waking up as the blessing. When you walk like that, think like that, and believe like that, life starts to respond to you differently because heaven recognizes the sound of someone who knows who they are. Every morning, the world will try to make you forget your identity, but your job is to remind it through your discipline, your excellence, your character, and your consistency. You are chosen. You are equipped. You are anointed for the assignment in front of you. And when you start your day with that truth, no challenge can break you, no delay can discourage you, and no failure can define you. Because you know you were never meant to blend in, you were chosen to stand out. When you begin each morning by telling yourself, I am chosen for a purpose, you're not just preparing for the day, you're preparing for destiny. You're setting a tone of victory before the battle even begins. You're training your mind to recognize opportunity where others see obstacles. You're aligning your heart with faith instead of fear. And when you do that, you start living your days with divine confidence, knowing that every step you take is ordered, every challenge you face is building you, and every moment you live is working together for something greater than you can imagine. I am responsible for my future, the power of daily accountability. When you wake up and declare, I am responsible for my future, you take ownership of your destiny. You stop waiting for someone else to make things happen for you. You stop blaming what didn't work, who didn't help, or what wasn't fair. You understand that life doesn't respond to excuses, it responds to execution. You realize that heaven gives you the promise, but you must activate it through participation. God will open the door, but you must walk through it. He will send the rain, but you must plant the seed. He will give the vision, but you must do the work. Most people live their lives waiting for ideal conditions. They say, when I have more money, I'll start that business. When I feel ready, I'll take that step. When things slow down, I'll focus on my goals. But that mindset keeps them stuck in delay. The truth is, there will never be a perfect moment. There will only be a prepared you. Taking responsibility means deciding to move forward even when conditions aren't convenient. It's realizing that waiting for everything to be easy is just another form of procrastination disguised as patience. Accountability is the bridge between intention and manifestation. You can pray for a better future, but if you don't practice better habits, your prayers won't have a place to land. God honors faith, but He also honors follow-through. You can't ask Him to bless a harvest when you haven't planted any seeds. You can't ask for doors to open when you refuse to knock. Responsibility is not a burden, it's a blessing. It's the realization that you have been entrusted with power, influence, and the ability to shape your own destiny. When you understand that your future is your responsibility, you stop playing the victim. You stop blaming your parents, your past, or your environment. You stop saying, they didn't support me, and start saying, I'm going to become the kind of person who doesn't need their support to succeed. Because when you depend on others for your progress, you hand them the keys to your future. Taking responsibility is taking back control. It's saying, I might not control everything that happens to me, but I do control how I respond, how I grow, and how I move forward. The truth is, no one is coming to save you. That might sound harsh, but it's freeing once you understand it, because when you realize no one is coming, you stop waiting and start working. You stop living in hope alone and start living in harvest mode. You stop asking for less struggle and start asking for more strength. That's what responsibility does. It transforms you from a passive believer into an active builder. You stop talking about change and you start becoming the change. God gives everyone the same 24 hours, but not everyone uses them the same way. The difference between the successful and the stuck isn't talent, it's stewardship. How you manage what you've been given determines what you'll be trusted with next. If you can't manage your mornings, you won't manage millions. If you can't discipline your mind, you won't handle destiny. Responsibility teaches you that greatness isn't an event, it's a daily decision. Some people spend more time explaining why they can't than executing what they can. They blame lack of time, lack of resources, lack of connections. But the truth is, every limitation you think you have can become leverage if you approach it with the right mindset. Responsibility says, I may not have everything I want, but I'll work with what I have. It's the mindset of ownership, the ability to look at your situation and say, this may not be ideal, but it's mine, and I'm going to make the most of it. When you begin taking responsibility, life starts to change. Opportunities begin to appear that you once couldn't see, because God doesn't waste favor on people who waste potential. He rewards the faithful, not the fearful. He promotes the prepared, not the passive. Responsibility is how you prove to heaven that you're serious about your assignment. Every time you show up with consistency, even when it's uncomfortable, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready for more. The most successful people you admire aren't more gifted than you, they're more disciplined. They stopped making excuses long ago. They understood that excuses may comfort you in the moment, but they cost you in the long run. When you take full responsibility for your life, you stop letting emotion dictate your effort. You stop waiting to feel motivated. You show up regardless, because you understand that results don't come from feelings, they come from faithfulness. Accountability is not punishment, it's protection. It keeps your dreams safe from distraction. It forces you to look at yourself honestly. It doesn't allow you to lie to yourself about effort, progress, or priorities. Every morning, when you say, I am responsible for my future, you're looking in the mirror and reminding yourself that no one else will do your push-ups for you. No one else will pray your prayers, study your craft, or build your business. You can't delegate discipline. You can't outsource consistency. You can't subcontract faith. These are your responsibilities, and when you own them, you activate growth that can't be stopped. There's power in saying, it's on me. Not in a prideful way, but in a powerful way. Because when it's on you, that means you have the authority to change it. When you take responsibility, you reclaim your power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance and start seeing yourself as a vessel of purpose. And when you combine responsibility with faith, the impossible becomes inevitable. You can't expect a supernatural outcome with a lazy input. You can't ask for divine increase while operating in human inconsistency. God can't bless what you won't build. You can pray all day for success, but if you're not preparing for it, you won't recognize it when it comes. Responsibility means aligning your habits with your hopes. It means creating a lifestyle that reflects the level of blessing you're asking for. When you accept responsibility, your confidence grows. You stop fearing failure because you understand that mistakes don't define you, they develop you. Every time you take ownership of an outcome, even if it didn't go your way, you learn, you grow, you adapt. And that adaptability is what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers talk about what could be. Doers build what should be. Responsibility transforms your future because it transforms your focus. You stop wasting time on things you can't control and double down on what you can. You start managing your emotions, your energy, your time, and your attention. You begin treating your life like the divine assignment it is. You no longer approach each day casually, you approach it intentionally. Because you know every action is either moving you closer to your calling or further away from it. So when you wake up tomorrow, look in the mirror and remind yourself, I am responsible for my future. Not your boss, not your friends, not your circumstances, you. You are the author of your story, the builder of your destiny, and the steward of your potential. And when you live like that, the world can't stop you, because you've already stopped giving your power away. Responsibility doesn't limit you, it liberates you. It frees you from waiting, from wishing, from wondering. It replaces anxiety with action and fear with faith. It reminds you that God has already placed everything you need inside you. All that's left is for you to take ownership and move. Because once you do, your future stops being a mystery and starts becoming a masterpiece. I am grateful for what I have. Unlocking the flow of abundance gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a spiritual strategy. It's the language of abundance, the vibration that aligns you with increase. When you say, I am grateful for what I have, you're not just being polite, you're declaring to heaven that you recognize the gifts already in your hands. Gratitude is what multiplies what you have. It's what turns ordinary moments into miracles and simple blessings into supernatural breakthroughs. When you live with gratitude, you move from chasing things to attracting them. Because God never gives more to a person who doesn't value what they already possess. You see, many people live in a cycle of dissatisfaction. They're constantly looking at what's missing, comparing themselves to others, measuring their worth by what they don't yet have. They wake up frustrated because they focus on the lack instead of the blessing. But what you focus on expands. If you focus on lack, you multiply lack. If you focus on gratitude, you multiply grace. The moment you stop complaining about what's missing and start thanking God for what's present, your life begins to shift. Doors open, peace returns, joy flows, and opportunities begin to align with your spirit. Gratitude transforms your atmosphere. You can't be thankful and bitter at the same time. You can't be grateful and envious at once. Gratitude kills comparison because it roots you in contentment. It tells your soul, I already have enough to begin. It doesn't mean you settle for mediocrity. It means you build from a place of sufficiency instead of scarcity. You stop saying, when I get more, I'll be happy, and start saying, because I'm happy, I'll attract more. Gratitude shifts your energy from desperation to expectation. It teaches you that joy isn't the result of having more, it's the reason more comes to you. When you begin each day with gratitude, your mind becomes fertile ground for miracles. The enemy of progress is not the lack of resources, it's the lack of appreciation. Because when you're ungrateful, you repel blessings. You close yourself off from seeing the opportunity in the ordinary. But when you are grateful, you activate vision. You start seeing blessings where others see burdens. You start noticing growth where others see struggle. Gratitude opens your spiritual eyes. It helps you realize that even when things aren't perfect, God is still working. Even when it looks like loss, something divine is being developed inside you. Every breath you take is a gift. Every morning you wake up is mercy renewed. Gratitude reminds you that you're still here, and if you're still here, that means your purpose is still in motion. Too often, people focus so hard on the mountain ahead that they forget to thank God for the strength that's kept them climbing. Gratitude brings balance. It anchors you in humility while lifting you with hope. It reminds you that progress isn't just about what you've gained, but about who you've become along the way. When you're grateful, you stop feeling like life owes you something and start realizing that everything is grace. You stop complaining about the little inconveniences because you recognize the bigger blessings. You stop resenting the process because you understand it's producing something in you. Gratitude turns frustration into fuel. It helps you endure challenges with peace instead of panic because you understand that even your trials are working for your transformation. People often ask, how can I attract more abundance? The answer is simple: appreciate what you already have. If you don't thank God for the $100, why would He trust you with $10,000? If you don't value the one door that opened, why would He open 3 more? Gratitude is the signal that you are ready for more. It's proof that your heart can handle increase. When you are thankful, you tell heaven, I'm ready for multiplication. Because gratitude creates expansion. It turns little into much. Look at the story of the feeding of the multitudes. Before the miracle happened, before thousands were fed, something divine occurred. Jesus gave thanks for what looked like not enough. And when He gave thanks, the not enough became more than enough. That's the law of gratitude in action. When you bless what you have, it grows. When you complain about what you have, it shrinks. It's not magic, it's spiritual mathematics. Gratitude multiplies because it magnifies. Whatever you magnify increases in your life. When you live with gratitude, you attract people differently. You radiate peace, and that peace draws the right connections. Grateful people are magnetic because they carry joy that isn't dependent on conditions. You don't have to fake positivity. Gratitude creates authentic joy. Even in hard seasons, you can look around and still say, God is good, because you realize that your circumstances don't determine His goodness, His presence does. Gratitude helps you recognize that even in waiting, you're still winning. Some people think they'll be grateful after they succeed, but gratitude is not a result, it's a requirement. It's what opens the gates for success to flow. Gratitude keeps your heart right when blessings begin to come. It prevents pride because you know you didn't do it alone. It keeps you grounded when life elevates you. It makes you generous because you understand that what you have is not just for you, it's for impact. When you practice gratitude daily, you also build resilience. Because thankful people recover faster. They don't dwell on what went wrong. They find reasons to praise through the storm. Gratitude makes you unstoppable because it keeps you emotionally stable. You can't be easily shaken when your soul is rooted in thankfulness. Even when plans shift, you still trust the planner. Even when you don't understand the season, you still appreciate the growth. Gratitude reminds you that every delay has divine direction and every detour has hidden purpose. Gratitude also unlocks creativity. When your mind is clear of complaining, it becomes open to creation. You start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You start hearing divine ideas that others are too distracted to catch. Gratitude puts you in alignment with abundance, not because it changes your circumstances, but because it changes your consciousness. You begin to operate from abundance instead of scarcity, from sufficiency instead of survival. And in that frequency, blessings can find you more easily. When you live in gratitude, you never run out of reasons to smile, because even when things are small, you recognize they're sacred. Every step forward, every opportunity, every breath is evidence of grace. Gratitude teaches you to celebrate progress instead of perfection. It allows you to rest in the now while preparing for the next. It helps you live with peace instead of pressure. So today, look around your life and start counting blessings instead of burdens. Thank God for what's working. Thank Him for what's not working yet. Thank Him for what left, because it made room for what's coming. Gratitude isn't just a reaction, it's a revelation. It's realizing that no matter where you are, you already have everything you need to begin. Say it again. I am grateful for what I have. Say it until it sinks deep into your spirit, because that gratitude is the key that will open doors you didn't even knock on. It's the seed that will grow into your next season of overflow. Gratitude doesn't just change your attitude, it changes your altitude. When you live in thanks, you rise higher. When you live in thanks, you invite heaven to do more through you. Gratitude is the doorway to abundance. Walk through it daily and watch your entire life expand in ways you never imagined. I am becoming better every day. The power of daily growth. Growth isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. It's the quiet, consistent decision to become more than you were yesterday. Every morning, when you look in the mirror and say, I am becoming better every day, you are declaring war on stagnation. You are rejecting the lie that who you are right now is all you'll ever be. You are embracing the truth that God designed you for progression, not perfection, for elevation, not limitation. The world loves quick success, but God loves steady growth. He's not trying to make you instantly great. He's shaping you into someone who can sustain greatness. Every trial, every test, every repetition of discipline is part of your development. People want transformation without process, but transformation requires time. It's built in the hidden hours when nobody sees you, in the moments when you choose growth over comfort. When you keep showing up even when you don't feel like it, you're telling heaven, I'm serious about becoming who you created me to be. Daily growth begins with self-awareness. You can't grow what you won't confront. You have to look at your weaknesses and stop making excuses for them. Growth doesn't happen by accident, it's intentional. It requires you to be honest about where you are so you can move toward where you want to be. Too many people live in denial. They pray for change but avoid correction. They want elevation without examination. But God can only bless the version of you that's real, not the one you pretend to be. When you humble yourself and say, I still have work to do, you position yourself for increase. Because humility attracts grace, and grace produces growth. Every day, your mind is either being developed or deteriorating. Growth is not automatic. It's the result of what you feed your spirit, what you listen to, what you think about, and who you surround yourself with. If you're always feeding on negativity, gossip, and distraction, you're starving your potential. But when you feed your mind with wisdom, faith, and purpose, you grow strong from the inside out. You start seeing possibilities instead of problems, and progress instead of pain. The growth process isn't glamorous, but it's glorious. It's slow, but it's steady. It's unseen, but it's undeniable. The key is consistency. You can't do something once and expect results that belong to daily effort. A seed doesn't become a tree overnight. It has to be watered, nurtured, and exposed to the right environment. That's how your character develops, through repetition, reflection, and resilience. Every day you discipline yourself to think right, speak right, and act right. You're building the foundation for your future. Growth doesn't always feel like success. Sometimes it feels like struggle. But that's the point. Struggle stretches you. Pressure polishes you. Discomfort develops you. You must learn to celebrate progress, not just perfection. Too often, people quit because they're not where they want to be yet. But progress is proof that you're still in motion. Even if you took one step forward today, you're further than you were yesterday. Growth doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's just a shift in attitude, a better response, a calmer reaction, a wiser decision. That's growth. When you stop needing external validation and start recognizing your internal transformation, that's when you begin to mature spiritually and emotionally. Daily growth also requires pruning. You can't take everything and everyone with you. Some relationships, habits, and mindsets must be cut off for you to rise. Pruning isn't punishment, it's preparation. God removes what hinders your fruit so he can multiply your effectiveness. Don't cling to old versions of yourself out of fear. Growth always requires release. If you keep holding on to what's comfortable, you'll miss what's possible. You have to trust that letting go of what's familiar is making room for what's greater. When you commit to becoming better every day, you start seeing failure differently. Failure stops being final, it becomes feedback. You no longer see mistakes as shameful, but as lessons. Every fall becomes a step in your foundation. Every disappointment becomes a divine redirection. Growth is not about never falling, it's about learning to rise faster. Each setback reveals another layer of strength you didn't know you had. And when you start viewing challenges this way, nothing can stop you from evolving. Spiritual growth is the deepest kind of progress. It's when you stop trying to control outcomes and start trusting God's timing. It's when you stop begging for clarity and start walking by faith. Growth is trusting that even the seasons that feel like waiting are actually working. Because God never wastes time. He uses it to mature you, to prepare your character for the promises He placed in you. If He gave you the blessing too soon, it would crush you, but when you grow into it, you can carry it with grace. Mental growth means you start renewing your thoughts daily. You replace self-doubt with self-discipline. You stop replaying old failures and start rehearsing your future. The Bible says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." That means transformation happens one thought at a time. Every morning you have a choice. You can think like the person you used to be or think like the person you're becoming. Your mind is the workshop of your destiny. Guard it, grow it, and guide it toward truth. Emotional growth means learning to master your responses. You stop reacting out of insecurity and start responding from wisdom. You stop letting other people's moods dictate your peace. You learn to stay calm under pressure, patient under delay, and grateful under trial. That's real strength, not loud, not flashy, but rooted and steady. Emotional maturity is when you no longer need chaos to feel alive. It's when peace becomes your new normal. Physical growth is discipline in action. It's taking care of the body that carries your spirit. It's showing respect for your vessel by how you eat, rest, and move. Because when you treat your body right, you're honoring the gift God gave you. Excellence in one area always spills into others. A disciplined life produces a powerful presence. When you wake up each morning and declare, "I am becoming better every day," you are giving your soul permission to evolve. You're telling heaven, "I refuse to stay the same." Every small improvement compounds into transformation. It may not show immediately, but it's inevitable. Growth is cumulative, one seed at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. And when you look back months or years from now, you'll realize that you're not who you used to be, not because life magically changed, but because you did. You grew. You decided to stop complaining and start cultivating. You decided to stop wishing and start working. You decided to stop waiting for opportunities and start becoming the kind of person opportunities look for. So every morning, remind yourself, "I am becoming better every day." Not because you're perfect, but because you're progressing. Not because life is easy, but because you're willing. Growth is the reward of those who stay faithful in the small things. When you choose growth daily, God will trust you with greater things. Because the one who's faithful in little will always be ready for much. Keep watering your purpose, keep building your habits, keep refining your mind. The harvest is coming. Every day you grow, you're getting closer to the version of you that heaven designed. Stay patient, stay present, and stay in process. Because one day you'll wake up and realize all those little steps were shaping you for something extraordinary. I am walking in faith, not fear, letting God direct the day. Faith and fear both demand belief in something you cannot see. The difference is simple. Fear believes in loss, while faith believes in promise. Every morning when you rise and declare, "I am walking in faith, not fear," you're making a decision about which kingdom you will operate from today. The kingdom of darkness that feeds doubt, or the kingdom of light that breathes destiny. Fear whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" Faith responds, "What if it does?" Fear focuses on the problem. Faith focuses on the provider. Fear paralyzes potential. Faith activates purpose. You can't live in both at the same time. The human heart was not designed to carry both belief and doubt. One always drives out the other. When you choose faith, you're not ignoring reality, you're elevating it. You're saying, "I see the facts, but I believe the truth." Every day, you will face opportunities disguised as obstacles. That's where faith must lead and fear must follow. The enemy doesn't need to stop you, he just needs to scare you. Because fear doesn't have to be real to be effective, it only has to be believed. That's why your greatest battles are fought in your mind before they ever show up in your life. Fear tries to plant seeds of hesitation. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if they laugh at me? But faith says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Faith says, if God is for me, who can be against me? Faith says, I don't need to know how, I just need to know who. Walking in faith means trusting divine timing, even when you don't understand divine methods. It's easy to believe when everything makes sense, but real faith shows up when it doesn't. When doors seem closed, when prayers seem unanswered, when progress feels slow, that's when faith becomes your anchor. Fear will tell you to quit. Faith will tell you to keep moving. Fear will make you chase comfort. Faith will make you chase calling. When you walk by faith, you stop needing constant evidence. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just take the first step. You stop asking for signs and start becoming one. Because people of faith don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They create movement in imperfect conditions. They know that obedience opens opportunities. Faith is not passive hope, it's active trust. It's when you move with conviction before you have confirmation. Letting God direct your day begins with surrender. Not weakness, surrender. It's saying, Lord, order my steps, not my stress. You stop trying to control everything and start allowing His wisdom to guide you. Because you can't ask God to bless your plans while refusing to follow His. Faith isn't about getting your will done, it's about aligning with His. The most powerful position a person can hold is submission to divine authority. When you walk in that posture, you stop fighting battles that were never yours to fight. Each day, faith gives you two gifts, peace and perspective. Peace because you know God is in control, and perspective because you see purpose in everything. You stop labeling days as good or bad. You simply call them necessary. Faith teaches you that even the delays are designed, even the detours are divine. Every unanswered prayer is either protection or preparation. So you start to rest, not because life got easier, but because your trust got deeper. Fear shrinks your world. Faith expands it. Fear says, what if I lose? Faith says, what if I learn? Fear says, I can't. Faith says, God can. Every morning, your thoughts are either feeding faith or fueling fear. That's why you must guard your atmosphere. Don't start your day with news that fills you with panic. Start it with truth that fills you with power. The words you speak shape the world you experience. If you begin your day with fear-based speech, I'm worried, I'm tired, I can't do this, you're programming defeat before you've even begun. But if you rise and declare, I walk by faith, I move with power, and I trust God's plan, you rewire your spirit for victory. Walking in faith doesn't mean you won't feel fear. It means fear doesn't control your choices. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's mastery over it. You do it anyway. You show up scared, but still show up. You speak even when your voice shakes. You act even when your hands tremble. Because every time you move in faith, fear loses power. The more you obey, the less you doubt. God doesn't reward fear, He rewards faith. Throughout Scripture, every miracle began with movement. The Red Sea didn't part until Moses lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until they marched. The man's sight wasn't restored until he washed in the pool. Faith requires participation. If you want to see change, you must act like it's already happening. That's the difference between dreamers and doers. Both believe, but only one moves. When you walk in faith, you also walk in favor, because favor follows faith. Every time you take a step in obedience, heaven takes a step toward you. That's why doors open that no man can shut. That's why resources show up at the right time. That's why opportunities find you in unexpected places. Faith magnetizes blessing. It aligns your spirit with divine flow. Walking in faith also means walking in peace when others panic. The world may shake, but your foundation stands firm. You no longer chase the approval of people. You're anchored in the approval of God. You stop comparing, stop competing, stop overthinking. You realize that faith frees you from the need to prove. You don't have to force what's already yours. What's meant for you can't miss you. Some days faith will feel like a whisper. Other days it will roar like fire. But whether it's loud or quiet, faith must always be alive. Feed it daily through prayer, gratitude, and obedience. Let worship become your weapon and the word become your wisdom. Every time fear rises, respond with faith-filled language. I am protected, I am guided, I am equipped, I am chosen. When you let God direct your day, you stop living in reaction and start living in revelation. You stop asking, what should I do next? And start saying, God, what are you doing in me? That shift changes everything. Because faith doesn't just move mountains, it moves you. It shifts your focus from outcome to obedience, from anxiety to alignment, from panic to peace. At the end of the day, faith is not about control, it's about confidence. Confidence that no matter what happens, you're held. Confidence that what's for you is already written. Confidence that every setback is setting you up for something greater. Fear imagines the worst. Faith expects the best. And expectation is the breeding ground of manifestation. So as you walk into each morning, lift your head and declare, I am walking in faith, not fear. You don't need to know how today will unfold. You just need to know who's unfolding it. Keep your eyes on purpose, your heart in peace, and your steps in obedience. Let your faith lead and watch how everything aligns in divine order. Because when faith becomes your focus, fear becomes irrelevant. You no longer chase blessings. Blessings chase you. You no longer fight for favor. Favor fights for you. You no longer walk uncertain. You walk unstoppable. You are not behind. You are being built. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. You are not lost. You are being led. So today and every day, walk in faith. Let heaven handle the details.